Right now, a massive storm is brewing and it's headed towards the US. This is setting the stage for a hectic week of weather as the storm could bring over a foot of snow to a large chunk of the country and then severe weather and tornadoes at the same time. And if that's not enough, we have a very real chance of a major ice storm this week. So go ahead and buckle in and let's dive right into the details. As early as Tuesday, you're going to start feeling the impacts from this storm up there in the Pacific Northwest and all the way down into the Rockies with heavy snow breaking out across the mountains. The snow and wind are going to pick up in intensity as the storm gets stronger on its approach to the U.S. Throughout the day on Thursday, we're going to have some rain showers going on down here in portions of Arizona and New Mexico as well. This moisture is actually going to get flung up into the main storm system, making it even more powerful. There's also going to be a chance for some passing showers and thunderstorms in the southeast and a little bit of snow up here in the northeast. And check this out, we might actually see some thunder boomers up here in eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey and even around the New York City area around 3 or 4 p.m. just south of where the snow is happening. This could actually bring about some small hail and gusty winds. And then on Wednesday, things get a little bit more amped over here in the Rockies as extremely heavy snow is going to start to fall over a huge area. And towards the afternoon, we're going to start to see that snow expand into the northern plains and the upper Midwest as the storm will be pushing warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico into freezing cold air from Canada. Moderate to heavy snow can be expected from South Dakota to Wisconsin as the sun goes down. But snow and ice aren't even the only threats that we have on Wednesday. A little farther south, we have a chance of some big-time thunderstorms. As the snowstorm is raging on up north, an area of thunderstorms will develop in Texas and Oklahoma early in the day on Wednesday, and these are actually forming due to the cold air coming in behind the low-pressure system, and they're eventually going to run into the huge surge of moisture that's being sucked up out of the Gulf. When this happens, a line of stronger thunderstorms will track across the risk area, causing occasional damaging winds, heavy rain, and we can't even rule out a potential tornado or two. We will of course have updates on this as needed. But as we go into Thursday, that line of storms is going to quickly fall apart and stop producing severe weather. However, the moisture from it will be absorbed into the cold section of this storm, allowing for even more ice and snow to fall. And speaking of ice, Thursday looks to be the day to be prepared for an ice storm for millions of you across the country. You see, early in the morning, heavy rain will be falling in places like Detroit, but it will be freezing on impact because the surface temperatures will be around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. A similar situation will unfold at some point between Wednesday evening and Thursday evening for places like Rockford, Illinois, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and maybe even as far east as Springfield, Massachusetts. On the low end, these places could pick up anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 inch of ice by the time this is all said and done. Even as little as 1/4 inch of ice can cause power outages, tree damage, and very dangerous road conditions, especially when you throw the currently forecasted 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts on top of the ice. If I lived in this area, I would be getting ready for an ice storm, okay? Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Gas up the generator, get ready for a 1 to 5 day power outage.
Hey folks, I'm exhausted and sweating. I was gonna undo my coat, but I don't want to mess up the microphone. Oh God. I will explain in a moment why I am exhausted and sweating. Considering it's -9 degrees out there right now. Brr. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I haven't gone out for the last couple of days. I'm not sick, I'm just not feeling great. Really not a whole lot of desire. So I messed up my database again. I'm pretty sure it was my fault. All of a sudden I had different parts of a file name listed as uploaders. My maintenance program wouldn't fix that. I had no idea what caused it, so I don't know how to correct it. So I gotta build my database again. Well, everything's where it's supposed to be. I don't want to move files again. That took so long. So I decided to I write some code to just delete all the files, all the text files, database files, and just rebuild it based on where the videos are, right, in the system. Because all that's listed, I got listings up everywhere. Anytime a new folder, new directory is created, like say for 2023, I get a new uploader, it'll automatically create it in that 2023 file, whatever external hard drive that is designated for. So I don't have to worry about that. Everything's where it's supposed to be. Oi! As I just tried to take out my phone here. Whoops. So basically what I did is I have a listing of all the hard drives that are used for storage, all the different locations. There's 2 that are permanent playlist, and one hard drive that's only for folders. That's the 16 terabyte hard drive that I just bought recently that I'm still paying for. All the files that are processed and waiting to be put on the playlist are on that hard drive. So that's an easy one. So basically what I did, I created a different section for my maintenance program. I still had the regular maintenance program to do regular maintenance, but I added a specific part to rebuild the database. And the first thing it does is deletes all the database files, all the text files for each individual video, and all the text files for each of the sources, each uploader. Deletes all that. I have display thumbnails that are generated when I add a file. That way, if I search for something, for example, because I have a search feature too, I can search through all the videos, or I can search specifically through a specific uploader. So when I get a search, I have almost like YouTube listing. When you search, it's got the video title and everything and the thumbnail. Well, I need those thumbnails because I'm not sure about all systems, but on Windows, if that thumbnail is outside the root directory of the server, it won't load that thumbnail. That's the issue I had before. So I started creating display thumbnails, which are a shrunk size, just big, because they only have to be like, not very big at all. So they're shrunk, they don't take up much space. So I move all those, because I can't delete and well, I can regenerate them, I just choose not to. So instead of deleting all those images, I just move them to a temporary folder. And then I guess I delete all the other ones. I'll look at that later. And then I go through each hard drive. I start with the playlist. Everything's in one spot. It's nice and easy. I just look at all the files in that folder, create a text file for the database with all the information about that video, its location. The thumbnail location is in a different spot, because on my playlist the thumbnails aren't part of the playlist, they're just there so I can see. But anyways, I'll create text files for those, and each file that it finds in that playlist, it'll move that thumbnail back into, like the display thumbnail, back into the display thumbnail folder. So once everything's done, then any thumbnails that are left over are orphans, and they're just wasting space. When I finished, it turns out there was over 4,000 of them. The reason for that is because if I have when I go through my playlist, as I remove things, I'm still using my old system, and it doesn't get removed from the database when I remove stuff from my playlist. I haven't got that far yet, because I have to redo my whole playlist system anyways, because it only works on Internet Explorer for some reason. When I created my new website pages and the new setup where everything's on one page, it's just different frames that update, then it wouldn't work on that system. So it only works on Internet Explorer, and now that Internet Explorer doesn't work anymore, thank you for that, Microsoft, I have to use Microsoft Edge in Internet Explorer mode. I gotta get that before they take that feature away too. I had no idea why it only works on Internet Explorer. I think I've talked about that before anyways. Something in that code only likes that browser. It doesn't work in Firefox, it won't work in Chrome, it won't work in Edge. I think those are the only 3 I use. It only works in Internet Explorer. So I gotta fix that soon, hopefully. If I have all these other problems. So does that, and then it goes through files that are ready, waiting to go in the playlist. And there's multiple folders for that. There's one folder, ready folder, but the videos are separated by uploader. So I have to go through each one. I create a list of all the uploaders, but basically list of all the directories in that folder. And then once that's finished, I go through that list and look for videos in each of those lists, and an uploader is created for each of those files, or uploader file is created for each of those, as well as an individual file for each of those videos. And again, the thumbnail, if it exists, goes back to where it came from. The difficult part is all the external hard drives I have with files that haven't been processed yet. They're just sitting there waiting. So I have 6 hard drives where there's basically, since the start of YouTube, 2005 up to 2017, I don't have files back that far, but that's potentially, where it starts. Up to 2017, and in each of those specific dates on that hard drive, then I have to go through, pick out all the uploaders from each of those dates, and then go through the files in each of those. So if I knew exactly where it was, I could write code just to do that, but I have 6 hard drives I have to do that on. So the way I have things set up is the file folder that everything is in is this exact same on each hard drive. So all I have to do is go to that folder on each of the hard drives that I have a list of, all 6, and just loop through them. Then it doesn't have to look for anything specific on each hard drive. Everything's the same. It's just the content in that folder is going to be different, each uploader, each file. So here's the problem. It works. I went through each step one at a time, make sure everything worked. I checked all the files, everything matches. I created a record. Each directory that I do tells me how many uploaders are in there. It doesn't tell me how many files, but it tells me how many uploaders are in that specific date folder on that specific hard drive. I look at the record and then I manually check, and everything lines up. Everything worked perfectly. I was impressed. So I did have minor issues here and there, but as far as the whole system working, it worked perfectly. I was very impressed by that. So that was the easy part, writing all that code. So I created a file that's got all the different, like the playlist and the ready folder aren't going to change, so I do those directly. And then all the other hard drives, I loop through them, each hard drive, and then once it's finished, it gives me a report with my record, shows everything, and tells me how many orphaned thumbnails are left over, which I said was like, it was like 4,400 or something like that. It was some crazy number. But it's been going a while. I've gone through a lot of videos through my playlist, so I'm not surprised there's that many. So I will take care of that eventually. I want to add that to my maintenance program when I run that. I want it to look through the thumbnails and check, make sure that file actually exists for that thumbnail. And if it doesn't, delete it, and then it's out of the way and done. But I got rid of them right now, so we're good that way. So the biggest issue I face, like I said, everything worked, but I have over 230 video files that have to be processed. Has to be examined, has to be separated into individual parts to create a text file for it, which is the file name without the extension, the actual title of it, the date, the year, like the full date that it was done, the year. It's basically the date it was published on YouTube, because everything's in order. I watch everything in the order that they were posted to YouTube. So I always get the older files first. The file size, which I know how to do now, by the way. There's a very easy method of doing it for Windows-specific systems. It's very quick. It doesn't take long at all. So I'm happy I found that. So create the file size, the file location, and the thumbnail location. And there's five other, I call them dummy. I just call them dummies because I had a future use for them, but I probably never use them. But it's part of my system, so I have to keep doing that. Otherwise, I have to rewrite all my code that refers to those. Because when I run my maintenance program, it counts the number of items in each file, and if that item is off, then there's an issue. So they have to be there. So over 230 files from 11,000 sources, over 11,000 sources. So basically, it took 3 days for this whole thing to go through. This whole time, I'm hoping it works. You know, all that time wasted and one little thing off or something, but it worked. So I was very happy. I checked. It finished. Actually, just finished this morning or this afternoon before I came out. I woke up this morning like 6:13 or something. Some weird time. I don't wake up that time in the morning, especially considering I went to bed like 3. And I looked, and it was on the 2022 videos because I just recycle the same page over and over for each of the uploaders. That way, because it's, you know, you run the page too long over 3 days, the page isn't going to run for 3 days. It's going to time out, right? I can't remember. I have it set for, because some of the processes are pretty long. So I have my, I don't remember, but I had the timeout like hours. So I don't have to worry about that. But I just kept recycling the page so the page would refresh and it would go through each individual file, through each individual, you know. So it took a while. So I looked at it and it said it was working on Drive X, which is the final one. It's got year 2022 and 2023 on it. And it was said it was working on 2022 and it was in the T's. So I don't have a lot for 2023. We've only got like 2 months worth. So I figure, okay, it's almost done. So I did a few things. The nice thing is, while this is running, I can still use my computer. I have multi-threads set up, so I can run the same web page from 2 different sources, and they're not going to interfere with each other, depending on what it is. Because some of my pages use the same files as other pages do, so I gotta be careful what I'm doing, but I can actually do 2 things at once, thankfully. So so everything runs slow, but you know, it's usable. So I ended up going back to sleep because my eyes were so sore. I hadn't had a whole lot of sleep yet, and I went back to sleep, and I woke up 12:30 I think today, and it was finished. Yay! So I didn't have my report, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. It said database rebuilding complete, so I know it was finished, but it didn't show up. So thankfully, that's its own page. I don't have to I don't have to go through the whole system again to get to that last page to figure out it's its own page. So I just have to change it, refresh it, and everything's good. So I looked at it, and I had the wrong variable. I had record. The name of the text file is record, and I had source, I think. So I had completely wrong. So I fixed that, and it worked perfectly. So it rebuilt the database. Every location of every uploader where there's files stored is stored in this file. There's 1,400, I think, locations where there's files stored. So I rebuilt that file as it was going through everything. As it found a new source, it would add that to the list. And now that everything's finished, I can delete the original and put this one in its place, the updated one. So I added that to that, and I added a section to count the number of thumbnails left over. I don't want to delete them right away. I'll probably add that afterward. Once it's done, it'll automatically delete them, because if they weren't detected, they're not there, right? But I don't like to delete anything right away until I know everything's working, because if I delete them and there was an issue, I can't get them back, right? I got to reprocess that specific file. but then I got to figure out which file, is missing. So I made sure everything was working. I counted it. It told me how many thumbnails were left over. I counted those, or I went to that directory and checked the number it says left over is the exact number that's in there. The exact number of files that I have in the database, over 230,000, it matched the number of thumbnails that were moved back to where they're supposed to be. So everything worked absolutely, just perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Except one thing. No matter what I do, I don't know why this is happening, but I'm getting a blank file. It's just because everything, the file name of each individual video is a text file. So it's just whatever it is, .txt. For some reason, every time I do something, I end up with a blank line .txt. That file always shows up. It showed up during the rebuilding too, so I have no idea. I don't know where that's coming from. I've looked every line of code I could find. I can't figure out where that's coming from. So I added an extra line after that. Once everything's finished, it deletes that file if it's there. So it's gone. I don't have to worry about it. It's just insane. I don't know where it's coming from, but it always shows up. So that's what I've been doing the last few days. Because like I say, I haven't been feeling good. I just didn't feel like going out. So, like I said, it took 3 days to do that. Not to actually write the code. I did that in just like a few hours, but this to actually run the process took 3 days. So Tuesday, we got our winter storm warning. That took a lot longer to explain than I thought. Sorry about that. So we got our winter storm warning. Our winter storm expected Wednesday. Snow and ice pellets with total amounts near 15 centimeters. Accumulations may be lower in areas that experience a greater period of mixing with ice pellets and freezing rain. Risk of freezing rain. Light ice accretion is possible. And this is late Wednesday afternoon into early Thursday morning. So I already knew this was coming. I watched the weather guys, right? And they're showing these storm systems moving in. I'm just trying to block the light here. It's pretty bright outside right now. So I know it's coming. And looking at this is what we're expecting. This is just the freezing rain part. It's up to 30 millimeters. 30 millimeters is more than an inch of freezing rain. That is insane. That's going to cause major power failures everywhere. That's a lot of ice. But we're not in that. We're, I think, I don't have it here. Actually, I have it in my phone here. I'll just have to enlarge it. 5 to 10 millimeters. So 10 millimeters is like 1/3 of an inch, whatever that would be. So it's not too bad for us. But this is just an estimate. This is what, the possibility of what we're expecting. So it was going to be crazy. It was going to start for snow for us because what was happening, we had this big storm that was coming across from the west and another storm to the south, which was going to feed, they're going to collide and it was going to feed all this moisture into it. That's where all this craziness was coming from. So I went out and I did my shopping. I wanted to do it before the storm got here. I got down to the river and I'm sitting there and there's a little red squirrel. He's come running towards me and he's really cautious. Move a little bit, stop. Move a little bit, stop. Unsure whether he wanted to pass me or not. So I tried to stay as perfectly still as I could so I wouldn't spook him. He kept coming and he just kept by me. So I wanted to watch him. I didn't want to move my head. I didn't want to spook him, so I just kind of moved my. I can't see him anymore, so I had to move my head. He went past. That was pretty cool. Just a little guy. So Tuesday I went out the day before, and it was crazy. It was really cold. It was super windy, and I sat down there, and there's a West Terrio truck sitting in the parking lot, and I sat there, took my break, and I'd come back and I asked him, I said, you guys ready for the storm? I couldn't really hear what he said because the truck was running. It was pretty loud. I think he said, we'll see, or something like that. So, they know it's coming anyways. They're kind of relaxing before they had to go to work. But it was a day before the storm was supposed to start, and it was already crazy. It was so windy, I kept getting blasted by dust. By the time I got home, my eyes were so sore that I had so much dust in them. It just, even with my glasses on, like, it would blow right past them. It was crazy. So I went up, sat up at the soccer field river again, and while I was sitting there, it decides it's going to start snowing. It's kind of giving us a teaser, I guess, for what's coming. So it was nuts. So Wednesday, I wasn't going to go out Wednesday. That's why I say I did my shopping Tuesday just to, get everything done before the storm started. I had to go out for Michelle, so I think, okay, I'm going to go out and see what it's like. So we already had a little bit of snow, maybe half-inch that fell. I don't know if it was that morning, overnight, or what, but we had a little bit. But it was super cold. It was like -10, and I didn't want to take a chance on going too far. So I know it couldn't go very far, but I went down to the river again, and I just we were getting snow, but it was like tiny crystals. There's big flakes in it, but there are little tiny ones mixed in too, and they're going right past my glasses, and they were hitting my eyes. It was crazy. So I sat in the shelter and tried to get a little bit of shelter from it, but it didn't really help because of the wind. So straight home from there. Like I say, it was too cold anyways to get the monster to go much further. So Wednesday night, after it had started, I was looking at it, freezing rain, ice pellets directly below us. We getting heavy snow over the bluish, and the pink is the ice pellets, and the purple is the freezing rain. So it had started, and this was 10 after 9 in the evening. So I wanted to go out and see what it was like, but I'm trying to make the decision whether I want to walk or drive. That reminds me, let me grab something here so I don't forget about it. There's something else I want to talk about. So I decided to go for a drive. I didn't realize how much snow we had already. We had about 6 inches of snow at that time, at least 6 anyways. But when I went out, it wasn't too bad here. But when I got down to the highway, I got onto the sidewalk. I'm thinking, the sidewalks are all drifted in. It was weird. It was like sand dunes. It's just up, down, up, down, up, down. So the monster's, pushing through it. And I'm trying to drive in the shallowest part of the snow that I could find. And sometimes it was on the left-hand side. Sometimes I didn't want to go too far because I didn't want to hit the frozen snowbank that was underneath it somewhere. Well, I got through, and then I'm going through the parking lot. It's just, that's the way I could explain it. It's like driving in the desert with sand dunes. It was like constant up, down, up, down. It was really wild. But it was really soft, so I wasn't driving over them. I was like pushing through them. That was pretty cool, but I was worried because I'm watching my battery meter go down, and I'm thinking, I hope I can make it back home because I gotta go back through this again on the way home, right? So I got to Timmy's, and there's a car coming behind me, so I couldn't take a wide turn, and I still got my slicks on the front, so I had to try to turn sharp. Of course, couldn't make it, so I had to back up. I got there no problem. Oh man, my throat is really dry right now. So I got my coffee. I come out and I see a snowplow coming by. I think, oh no. If he plowed in the sidewalk, I'm screwed, right? I'm gonna have to drive on the road, and there's too much traffic right now to do that. So thankfully he wasn't driving very fast, so the snow didn't make it to as far as the sidewalk, thankfully. So I worked out that way, so I was able to drive through my tracks coming back. And I just went straight home from there. I got in the garage, and low battery warning started just as I got there. So it took my whole battery charge just to go to Timmy's and back. That was insane. I kind of figured that though once I started pushing through. So that was nuts. So next day, which was yesterday, I wake up. I really wasn't feeling well. I wanted to go out because the storm wasn't supposed to stop till like late Thursday. We were supposed to get another round late Thursday, and that's when our highest risk for freezing rain was. But we had freezing drizzle advisory. I don't have that on my list here. Areas of freezing drizzle today. Periods of freezing drizzle with ice and slippery conditions now through this afternoon. Periods of freezing drizzle at times mixed with ice pellets are expected through this afternoon. They're very repetitive, aren't they? So at this point, I don't know if we got any freezing rain because by the time I went to bed, it hadn't reached us yet. It was still pretty far south of us. So I wasn't sure. And all the power outages were all down by Lake Erie. There was a lot of them. Over 100 anyways. Well, I didn't go out. And Michelle's boyfriend came early this week. He usually comes on Friday. Apparently he came Thursday. I started hearing my snowblower. I'm thinking, I hope that's not the neighbor using it. I was not impressed, right? So I can't see this side of the garage from my bedroom window, so I asked Ken if I could use his window. I looked out and, oh, Michelle's boyfriend is doing it. Okay. So I haven't thanked him yet because when I come down last night, he was asleep, and I never thought about it when I come out today. So I'm going to thank him very much for what he did, because he took care of the bulk of it, the craziness of it. But like I say, I wasn't sure if we got freezing rain or not. So when I come out today, we have another notice, a winter weather travel advisory. This just showed up just before I come out. Snow with local accumulations near 5 centimeters, which isn't a whole lot. Reduced visibility and heavy snow, slippery surfaces due to accumulating snow. This is because a locally heavy band of snow from Lake Huron continues to move slowly northward with time. This band is expected to weaken by late this afternoon. So I look, yep, there's a squall line coming off the lake. Oh, good, more snow coming. So, I haven't looked yet, but I have seen headlines that there's another storm system coming at us. I saw a video not that long ago. It sounds like March is going to be a crazy month. It's going to be very wintry. It's not going to be an early spring like Weirton Willie lied about. So we'll see what happens. You know, it's still a ways away, but right to the end of March, it's supposed to be very wintry. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. So I went out today, and I did a little bit of shopping. I actually went down to the park, and it's cold today. It's -9 today. So I went down there. There's nowhere for me to park, so I parked on the side of the road. Left my strobe light on the back on, so nobody runs into the back of it while it's sitting there. And I walked down to the river. Then I came home, and I decided before I do this, I want to clean up the new snow that's fallen and finish, because when Martin does it, he does what needs to be done. When I do it, I prepare for the next storm, so I make sure the snowbanks are pushed back as far as they can, so we have room for more. I just do more of an area. He does what needs to be done, which is fine. I'm not going to complain about it at all. So I just wanted to do a little bit more. But oh yeah, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. The purpose of me saying I went down to the river today is because when I was walking through the snow, there's fresh snow on top, but there's a crunchy layer underneath, and then I sink into the heavy stuff. So we did get some freezing rain at some point. I don't think there was a lot. It wasn't a very thick layer. It wasn't anything that was supporting my weight or anything. I could just hear it crunch as my foot went through it. So at some point in time, we got some amount of freezing rain. So, okay, I gotta hurry up here. I'm looking at 32 minutes already. So, when I got home, I got the snowblower out because when I woke up this morning, I heard Zach saying he's getting ready to go to work. So he went to work this morning. His car's not here. I want to do this before he comes home. Because I had no, he was off for a couple days. He said he had to go to Hanover yesterday to do first aid training. Hanover or Walkerton, I think he said Hanover. To do his first aid training for work. So I think he's on a different shift now, working mornings. Which is fine for me because that means, I'll be able to clear the laneway out, but, at the same time it sucks for him because he's got to get up in the mornings now. In a way, I guess that's good because by the time he goes out, the snowplows will be out already, so he won't have to deal with that craziness out on the highway. And he'll be in daylight, so it'll be easier to see, so I guess in that case it works out good for him. So my point is, I knew he was going to be gone. I don't know when he's going to be back. I don't know if he's working a part shift specifically, because he normally doesn't work Fridays. So I just don't know. I just wanted to get it done. So I ended up doing the whole thing. The whole driveway, the extra parking spot, and all the way, laneway all the way up to the house, or walkway all the way up to the house. It's all done. Everything's finished. So I won't have to worry about that now. So, I guess the only thing I really didn't do, I didn't create a place for the garbage. No, I can do that tomorrow. No big deal. So that is why I'm exhausted. So I didn't put a camera. Hang on. When I put my phone back in my pocket, I tend to make a loud noise in the the microphone. So, I didn't want to talk while I was doing that just in case. So I didn't put a camera on anything. I just wanted to get it done, get everything finished. But I realized I forgot to turn off the cameras on the scooter, so on the Munster, so you should be able to see a little bit anyways. So I come up with an idea. If I'm gonna walk, I figured out what I did wrong with the voice recorder, so next time it should work properly. There's several different ways to record. It's got its own internal recording in that, and it's got the built-in microphones, and it's got a plug-in microphone, which is what I use. It's been so long since I used it, I don't remember the settings. So I didn't have it set up to record on the memory card, which I have now. And I had it as line, thinking the line in would be the microphone, because if it's on microphone, it'll be the built-in, but apparently not. So it didn't record anything, but I tested it. Everything's good now. So if I go out again, what I'm gonna do is I will put the camera in this case, because it's got the tripod thing on it. And if I mount the light that came with this camera, I got light for the camera. I'm not going to be pitch dark like it was in the last one, right? I didn't realize it was going to be that dark. That was crazy. So I can put this on here. Problem is, I don't have any way of attaching, tripod female to tripod female, because it's got a hot shoe. I don't have anything for attaching a hot shoe to a tripod. Surprisingly, with everything that, all the accessories I've got, but it does have a tripod mount. So I can get tripod screws. They're double males, so you can screw it into one. It's got like a thumb wheel on it. You can screw it in, and then you can screw another one on top. It's a double male. Well, I just think of something. So that will solve my issue with the darkness. Can I even get to that? Probably not. Just as I knock everything over. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work. Because I'm not sure what the thread pitch is on the tripod screws, but I think this is a 1/4 inch threaded rod. And it's got a burr on the end of it, so I'm not even going to be able to tell. And this end is... okay, that's just dirt. Thread pitch matches. Okay. So I don't have to buy anything. I just have to get the... oh, that's awesome. I never even thought of that. 1/4 inch threaded rod. Okay, because I was going to buy these double nail tripod screw things. They're not cheap. I got one, because originally I was looking for the screw in with a hot shoe, so I could just plug this right into the hot shoe. One of those, I'm surprised that's not more of a an item, because all the accessories, you know, you want to mount them on a tripod, like an extra flash or something, you want to mount it on a tripod. I'm surprised. I only found one, and it was like $15 for just that one. So I found this double screw. It was a set of 6, I think, different sizes, and even it's like, it was like $11, $12 or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was, look at the price is crazy. So I'm glad I thought of that, because now I don't have to buy them. So I gotta cut this a little bit. I'm not gonna do that today. So if there's a time I want to walk at night, I can do this now. Awesome. I'm happy about that. Okay. So I'm at 39 minutes now. I'm gonna shut up. So you guys can move on to something else. So if you want to watch, I will show my trip to Timmy's and back. Regular speed. Probably no music, so you can hear the monster trying to struggle. The DB Power camera doesn't have very good audio on it. It's like really low, so you probably won't hear a whole lot, but if you want to watch, it's there. If you don't, then you can not watch it. Your choice. So anyways, that's all I got for this update, and hopefully they'll be wrong about March, and March will start to warm up. Let's hope. Thanks for watching, guys.